Hi there, you're watching The Appreciationist. My name is Peter Hartman.
And I'm Samantha Barley.
And today we're talking about willpower. Gotta keep the music short because we're late starting the show. Had some technical problems with Google Hangouts. Not our fault, their fault, but we're not placing the blame anywhere except on Google Hangouts because it is their fault. Look, we're talking about willpower tonight. We're gonna have a really fun time. But before we get to that, I have to let you know what I learned this week in a segment we call What I Learned This Week. Well, what did I learn this week? I learned a lot. I won't get into it except that I learned that the same sort of collusion and corruption that happens in politics, that happens in business, also happens in science and psychology and these fields. There was a debunking a few years ago. I sent an article, this debunking of the science of happiness. They decided to come up with this number that says if you were above this number, you were happy. If you're below this number, you're unhappy. Turns out that number is completely phony, completely fake. Tons of books and research based on that information. It turns out people just want to be famous. So that's what I learned this week. Maybe I'll be posting that article on our page. You can go check that out later. But the most important thing we do during
wait. So the scientists like made that up?
There was two scientists. One was a psychologist. The other one was a scientist. They used this sort of differential equations, these fancy calculations in order to determine a ratio, and if you were above this ratio, then you were considered to be flourishing. If you were below this ratio, you were languishing, and they claim that you can identify for any person, it's the same number. If you're above this number, you're happy. If you're below this number, you're unhappy. Yeah. Of course, we all know that happiness and appreciating life
okay, so they didn't like flat out create like a lie. They just, this is their interpretation, and I mean, clearly not everybody can, like, it doesn't work for everybody, right? Like, but they didn't flat out lie.
So some people do flat out lie about things like this. From what from what I understood from this article, these people didn't lie necessarily, at least not the woman who, the psychologist, but the man, he's unavailable for comment. He's disappeared. He's not answering any messages, so that's suspicious. And the information they provide was big, convoluted, big words and all these things that didn't really lead to anywhere. So did that person know what they were doing? Maybe, maybe not.
Suspicious. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. Move on. Thank you.
Yeah, and there are other people who do actually lie. Anyway, it's good to know that the world is exactly the way I expect it to be. Anyway, in our most important segment during the show, it's called Moment of Appreciation, and that's where we look back at the past 7 days and we pick out something that we appreciate. It could be something good that happened that's easy to appreciate, or it could be something that wasn't so great but that we can see the value in today. Would you like to share a moment of appreciation first, Sam, or should I go first?
I'll go. So I started doing yoga again. I didn't talk about this last week, did I? No, because we weren't on last week. So I think it's been maybe 2 weeks that I decided to get back into yoga. Yoga is something that I really, really enjoyed years ago. I was doing it regularly enough, you know, trying different places, different courses, beginner courses. And I ended up stopping. I think it was, I really do believe that it was when I hurt my wrist. I hurt my wrist a few years ago, and so it's been this hindrance of mine. Like, I have a problem with my wrist, I still do, but for years, months, I've been saying, oh, I should do yoga, I should do, yeah, but I can't because of my wrist, and money, you know, finding excuses not to do yoga. But it's always been in the back of my mind. It's always been there, and I've always known that it's a way for me to connect with myself and to feel good and to feel in the moment. And recently I decided, you know what? Forget the wrist, forget money. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. And so it's been about 2 weeks that I started doing yoga again, and I'm doing it really regularly, like almost every day, every second day, every third day. Like, I'm doing it as often as I can. Luckily, I have a flexible schedule, so I can sort of, you know, choose the classes that work. And I'm really, really enjoying it. It's, you know, meditation. It's physical exercise. I've been doing the more gentle classes to get myself used to it and to see what I can and can't do with my wrist and sort of figuring it out. I'm like listening to my body. But I feel like so, you know, proud of myself. I feel like I'm doing something that is really beneficial for my body, for my mind, for just everything. And I'm super happy about it. I'm looking forward to it. I've already started talking to clients about it, mentioning it in groups. So if anybody's been watching the show, you know, like I've been obsessed with like nature and like sourdough bread and stuff. I think yoga is going to be the next one. So yeah, I'm like having so much fun. That's mine. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. Well, yoga, I mean, on my list of things to do, my bucket list, definitely yoga is right up there. It seems like it's very soothing and might even help your wrist, right? It might even.
That's what I firmly believe, that, you know, through the different moving of my wrist, the breathing, the circulation in my body, that it's going to be what's going to heal my wrist. Yeah.
I really like that. I really like that. I love that you're not using as an excuse your condition in order to stop you from doing something that you want to do. I mean, you were really interested in yoga before. I mean, it's just a painful thing to not be able to do what you want to do, but thank God you're really back on that. Thanks so much for sharing that moment of appreciation, Sam. That's really, really cool. I really love hearing that. If you're out there and you're thinking about trying yoga, you're going to hear more and more from Sam, and we'll just tell you right now, go and do it, because it's really, really cool. It's one of those things up there that's one of the best things that you can do.
I already posted some interesting scientific facts on my Facebook page, so you can go to Samantha Barley, Life Coach, Facebook, all sorts of cool things.
Really awesome. My moment of appreciation, well, I had a few. I did a presentation at the University of the Streets Cafe put on by Concordia, and that was a lot of fun. It was stressful leading up to it. I felt stressed doing it. It didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, that I was planning for it to, but that just made it even better. They told me as we were prepping for this to be open to the unexpected, that you were going to learn things from the people that are in the room that were different than what you expected, and that's exactly what happened. We were talking about purpose and living a life of purpose and impact and social change, and the conversation kept being brought back to happiness. And, you know, I was actually saying this in the earlier segment, what I learned this week. What I learned is that people, there's a segment of the population who are like me, who are actually fed up about this whole happiness thing, who sort of see it the same way that I do, this sort of distraction, this addiction that we're sort of succumbed to. And I felt great. I felt very inspired. I felt like my message for Happy for a Change, you can find that out at happyforachange.com. I felt like that message had a home. I realized there were more people like me out there, that I didn't have to convince people with the ideas that I had, that people were already primed for it. So that was actually pretty interesting. And then there was this really, this reminder that there's another segment of the population that are really hooked on happiness, on feeling happy, on finding meaning in their life. So it was eye-opening. I also had to do comedy 2 or 3 times, and that's always a stressful experience. But I wrote some new jokes, so I'm really happy about that. And those jokes will help me with my Bad Guru initiative. So comedy, University of the Streets, more public speaking. I know for a motivational speaker and consultant, it's kind of strange for me to say this, but I'm not a public speaker. I don't do well in public situations. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't say that. I do well in public situations, but I prefer being on my own. So it was cool to deal with that stress, to have something to focus on, and then to experience the consequences, the reward for it. And I read an article yesterday, about the discussion we had for the University of the Streets Cafe, and I was very pleased. I was very happy about that. So that made me feel really cool. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's my moments of appreciation. Stage time for comedy and talking about happiness and purpose. And
Copper Branch.
And Copper Branch. That's right. You didn't tell them, right? You got even more of a.
Yeah, so I ended up getting well, I don't want to tell the whole story. Anyway, I got gift certificates, and we ate more yummy vegan food, and it was delicious. And yeah.
Absolutely. And I like hearing about yoga. It makes me feel cool. If I can't do it, at least I can hear about it. No, I listen to my body, but it doesn't tell me good things. It tells me I have gas, you know. Anyway, that's a moment of appreciation. If you want to send in your moment of appreciation, we'll read it on the air. Or better yet, once you come onto the show, use your webcam and microphone in order to share a moment of appreciation with us. When you give yourself a reason to exercise those appreciation muscles, you get better at it. And isn't it fun to appreciate, Sam?
Yeah.
Awesome. What a great idea. In the segment, what a great idea. This is where I point you towards a product, a service, an idea that is deserving of your attention, because whatever we give our attention to becomes a greater part of our
experience.
There we go. So why not give our attention to great ideas? This week's great idea is actually from my friend Afra, who told me about, let me open the right window here, plastic roads. I mean, what the heck is this? So there's an initiative out there, people who want to dredge the oceans and dredge the waters and the garbage dumps and use the plastic that's just out there and use it to build roads. You know, replace that tar, replace that cement with plastic, and they last 3 times longer. From what I understand, the water drains through it, so there's no puddles or ice, and there's no potholes, and it's easy to put down. You can put it down in hours instead of in days instead of weeks, or hours instead of, anyway, very short amount of time. You can find out more about this at plasticroad.eu, and we're going to be checking that out for Happy for Change, because we're always on the lookout for great ideas. Plastic roads, huh? I don't know how I feel about it, but I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea.
It seems interesting. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to move on to the topic of our show this evening. We're talking about, we're going to continue our series, Designing the Self. This is the last one in that series, called Willpower. We're continuing the conversation we had at a meetup here in Montreal. It was really fun. Talking about willpower, I really like this. I really like the topic of willpower because you get to the point of action. You get the point of doing things, you know? Sam, did it take willpower? How much willpower does it take to decide to do yoga, even though you have an injury, even though you've been holding yourself back from it for a long time?
Oh, let's just welcome our guest.
Absolutely.
Hi.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the show.
I'm hiding at my clothes.
That's okay. You don't have to have your camera on. If you want, you can turn your camera off.
That's me. Hi.
We
I just don't want everybody else to see me. Can other people see me too?
They can see you. So if you want,
okay,
you can turn off your camera right up top. If you look on your screen, you'll see a camera. So just click on that. It says turn camera off when you're
there. We go.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right.
So just so you know, we actually had some technical issues and started the show late. I had seen your message about, coming on later. So just so you know, we're at a segment where we're going to start a discussion about willpower now.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Sandra, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We're so glad that you're able to come on. You see, if you're out there and you're shy, you don't have to come on with your webcam. You can just come on with your microphone, and we're very, very happy to have you here. Very, very cool. Glad you can make it to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good. We're talking about willpower, and I was just asking Sam about, did it take much willpower or much effort in order for you to decide to do yoga after years of telling yourself that you couldn't?
So it was less about willpower, I think. For me, it was to decide to do yoga was a sort of process of thinking about what I enjoy, what brings me pleasure, what brings me calmness, centers me. It was less about willpower. The way that I actually do need willpower for yoga sometimes. So the willpower part to yoga wasn't about deciding to do it. It was about getting myself there. I had made the decision that, okay, I'm going to get back into yoga. So it was about, going online, purchasing the sessions, and then looking at the schedule and saying, okay, I'm going to this one. And then doing it. There were some that I went to, it was 10 a.m. and I was like, oh, I'm tired. And I'm like, no, you're gonna go. You're going because this is what soothes you. This is what brings you joy. This is what, so the willpower part is the actual moment where I have to take action to get somewhere. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
That makes absolute sense. I really like that. Sandra, when you think of willpower, what does that mean to you? What does that make you think of when you think about willpower? Because sometimes I'm thinking about the will part and I'm thinking about the power part. Is willpower like making yourself do something? When you think about willpower, what kind of thoughts come to mind?
Well, I think I relate to what you just said, really. It's more like an inner drive, right? And it's about a mindset too, like willpower. So how would I say this? Channeling, deciding to do something, and then sometimes even having to push yourself to actually do it.
Yeah.
So that to me is willpower. It's like you're decided on acting a certain way for a certain reason and actually putting it into motion.
Yeah.
I really love that. I love the way you're characterizing it there, because when I think of willpower, I do think of it in sort of two parts, you know? There's the mindset part, which I think is absolutely crucial, you know? I think it's the most important part of willpower, which is the mindset in which you exist in, because making yourself do things just to do them, just to make yourself do them, unless you're really a stick in the mud and you never do anything. I'm sorry, Sam, go ahead.
I was just saying it's torture. It's torture. If you don't have the mindset to go with it, then it's like, okay, I'm going to do it, but then you're never going to keep it up. Like, say you want to lose weight, or you want to exercise, or you want to, you know, clean your house. Like, that willpower, yeah, you can get it done maybe once, and you do get some things done, but it feels like torture to me. And so even with my yoga sort of situation, like, I didn't, like, I had to, like, get myself in the, I'm ready, you know, I want this, it's important to me. And then the extra push is just reminding myself of that mindset.
Exactly right. So when you set your mind into the condition, the state in which it more naturally remembers why it wants to do something, its motivation, the purpose in which you act, then the power part is leverage, its effort that's placed in the right direction. Now, I'll tell you this: if you're somebody who you never find yourself doing what you want to do, you never commit to anything, you never do these things, then fine, just make yourself do things, right? Get into the habit of just making yourself do things just to get started. It's like pushing that heavy object at first, just to get a little bit of inertia, a little bit of momentum going. But then you want to remember that in order to truly effectuate willpower, at least from my perspective, is that you have to set this mind state here, this mindset. And that mindset is reminding yourself on a regular basis why you want to do what you want to do. I mean, why the heck do you have this willpower to begin with? It's like having a car and no place to go. I used to be like that. I had a car and no place to drive to. What's the point of having all that horsepower if there's no direction, if there's no aim? And so when it comes to willpower, one of the reasons I love it is because when it's time for you to take action, then you are hyper-focused on, or you can get hyper-focused on, the reason and the motivation why you want to do something. When you're thinking about doing something in the abstract, then it's less willpower-oriented and it's more desire, visualization, and thinking. So willpower, it's like this combination between getting your mind right, visualizing, deciding what you want to do, and then taking action in any way that you can get it about. And I find that when any regimen that you have for personal development that ends with an actualization of willpower, then you've got it made. And it's not just a philosophical conversation. It's not just a feel-good conversation. It's a conversation that moves you forward. And that's actually what we experienced at University of the Streets. One of the compliments I received at the end was that I provided a call to action, something that people could do, and people felt really cool that after a conversation of philosophy and intellectualism, that we were then called to perform some action. So I want to ask you guys a question before we cap up the show. If you had to, I don't want to tell you something too specific. So if you had to guide someone towards some action that would help them out, or even for yourself, if there's something that you're working on that you want to use your willpower for, what kind of small things can people do to exercise that willpower? Like what ways can people sort of experience what it's like to take action in accordance with their will? One of the things that I say is like writing in a journal. So I told people at our last motivational conference.
I was just giving Sandra an opportunity if she wanted to speak before me.
Oh, thank you, Samantha. That's very nice. For me, what I do is, you know, first of all, I have to make a decision. There has to be a desire or a need to want to, you know, step forth into something. And then it's like, why? My why is very important. Why do I want to do this? What benefits do I reap from this? How will it affect my life in a positive way? And then by, you know, expanding on those things, either writing them down or looking up more things about whatever it is I choose to do, the more I build up on it, the easier it is for me to step into that and actually start putting it into motion for myself. So that for me is like really the easy part. The one that I struggle with is consistency. I'll get going on something and I'll do really well for like a month or 6 weeks or 2 months. And then life starts happening, and then slowly but surely I notice that I kind of fall away from that. So the willpower anyway for me is the excitement about why I want to do this for myself, and then just planning, making a decision. Okay, I'm going to start this on this day for this reason, and I really do get pumped up about it.
I think that's really cool. Getting pumped up, getting full of desire, getting excited
Yes.
about what you want to do is a great way to sort of build yourself up to sort of expel that energy, while also reminding yourself, of course, on a regular basis, that your motivation will go down. Your desire to do something will go down and up, and so it'll fluctuate. And it's very easy to express your willpower when you're feeling pumped, but when you feel that little dip that goes down, that's where your willpower that's where you need to exercise it the most, right? So just remembering that you're never going to just always feel completely tapped in, turned on, and that your willpower is useful when you're feeling highs and when you're feeling your lows. Sam, what about you? What do you, when it comes to willpower and exercising that, what kind of tips do you have about that, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I was actually just talking with somebody earlier today about it and saying, like, so all of the stuff that Sandra was expressing, you were expressing, like getting that sort of energy going, but then the actual part of like having to do it, we have to recognize that we have certain habits that we formed, you know, certain patterns of behavior. And what we're doing when we're like choosing something new is we're creating a new pattern. And so it takes that effort, and you have to recognize that you're like reforming your brain, the way your brain is actually working. And so it will take effort. So to remember that no matter what you're starting, no matter what you want to keep going with, it will take effort before it becomes a habit. And so to sort of acknowledge that and say, it's okay, it will take effort, but there are benefits in it. So you just have to sort of, it's almost like, you know how like if you want to exercise and stuff like that, you get all excited, and sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to, but then you say, okay, I'm gonna go anyway. That's the willpower. And recognizing that usually once you get over that sort of hump, you're enjoying yourself with what you're doing. Oftentimes you feel proud of yourself, you feel the adrenaline, whatever it is you do, you feel pleased. That it's really mostly only that moment. Those 5 minutes, my client said, she's like, it's like those 5 minutes where don't I don't know, just don't question it, just go and recognize that there's going to be benefit. And I just saw a YouTube video recently, I posted on my Facebook page as well. It was talking about habits. It actually talks about willpower. And it says that willpower is like a muscle that you need to exercise. And the more you exercise that willpower muscle, actually in any aspect of your life, like for even a specific aspect, it actually will be easier to exercise it in other aspects. So that sort of like push, the more you do it, recognize that it's going to help you in all of the aspects. And I mean, just that, like that's reason enough to get out of bed and do it, or whatever it is you want to do. Like just recognize how it's going to change your life.
I really like that. I think that's a good place for us to wrap this up. I'm just going to add one more quick thing, you know, when it comes to exercising, exactly what you're saying, Sam. I choose to, and just so you know, Sandra, I put you on mute just because there was a little bit of sound, so if you want to speak, just unmute yourself. Look, you have an opportunity to exercise your willpower on a daily basis, okay? Every day there's something that you're too lazy to do. It could be something simple like cleaning up the dishes, like calling a friend or sending an email, whatever it is. There's or changing seats on the metro because it's not where you want to sit, for example. There's all these ways for you to exercise your willpower, and we have all these excuses. Oh, but that's too small, and that's too simple, and that doesn't matter. Every time you exercise your willpower, even for the smallest thing, you make yourself stronger. And so just give yourself the reason to do it, and be don't be outcome dependent. Don't say I'm going to do this thing, but only if it works out, only if I believe it will work out the way I want it to. Just exercise your willpower for its own sake, right? And then once you start doing that, then you're going to get in the habit of doing things as opposed to delaying things, and then your brain chemistry is going to shift to say, you know, I'm seeing more and more value when I actualize my willpower as opposed to just making excuses. I love everything that you guys have said. Sandra, you were very lovely. Thank you very much for participating in the show. Samantha, too. Just before I let you guys go, 2 things left on the agenda. We have a segment called What's for Dinner, and that's where I ask you, what did you eat in the last 7 days? Or what are you about to eat this evening if you haven't eaten yet, that you enjoyed, that you appreciated? It doesn't have to be special, just has to be something that you appreciated. For example, Sam made this delicious soup at home. I don't even know what was in it.
Lentil soup. Like a lentil type soup, yeah.
And she told me to put curry in it and coconut milk in it, and it tasted very yummy. It reminded me actually of my childhood. So I don't know what she put in there. I don't know if she got some secret thoughts.
Recipe from your mom or something.
That's right, but it tastes very cool. Did you guys eat anything in the last 7 days that you enjoyed?
I don't eat sugar very often. I stay away from sugar, but I had a piece of pecan pie the other night, and it was absolutely heavenly.
Pecan pie.
That's good. And that is full of sugar. That's delicious. Like, so good. I was gonna say my soup as well. I actually didn't think I liked it as much. But with I was experimenting with the curry and the coconut milk, and yeah, I really like my soup. So yeah.
And also we had the General Copper, so that was pretty cool. I'm learning that mushrooms can be an adequate replacement for chicken. Who knew? Who knew? Should we let you know what's on our calendar?
Yep.
Okay, real quick. And then we'll let you guys go. Let's pull that up here. So we have...
Okay, so I'll go first because it's my... Yeah, so I actually posted this in my 3 meetup groups, which is Self-Discovery Montreal, Law of Attraction Montreal, and Abraham Hicks Montreal, or just Abraham Hicks, because I'm going to do a group discussion using the Abraham Hicks cards. Oh, I don't have them in front of me. The Abraham Hicks cards, they have quotes and descriptions of the law of attraction. And so this will be the second time I'm doing it. The last time I did it was on the mountain during the summer. We're going to do it at Bago. And what we do is we read the quotes and have a discussion about what's written. I've been listening to Abraham for many, many years. I understand the law of attraction very well. So I often guide people if they don't understand or things aren't clear, but otherwise it's a fun discussion about what do you think and how does that affect you and how to put it into practice into your daily life. Sorry, that is Saturday at 3:30.
Awesome. If you're in the Montreal area, definitely go check that out. But of course, as always, tune in next Wednesday for another exciting episode of The Appreciationist. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Bye, Peter.
Take care. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Okay.